right, so welcome to the portion of the semester that is wheel throwing. And the first thing we kind of have to take care of is setup. So I like to have a towel that goes over my lap because, as you will find out shortly, wheel throwing is very messy. Like, you don't have to, depending on if you're wearing nice clothes or not especially, you may want to be using a towel or an apron on your lap. I've set up a board with some newsprint on it, which I'm just gonna set aside on a table. And then there are a few other things you're gonna have to grab. You're gonna need a bucket with some water in it. You are definitely going to want your cutoff tool from your pottery toolkit, and then you will want the round sponge, as well as the stick tool and pen tool that come in that kit. A couple other tools you might want to keep on hand are the two different types of ribs. This one you may use, this one I don't really recommend, just because I've seen people actually slice their hand open with it, so I'm just going to set that aside. The next thing we have to deal with are the splash pans. And so these can be really finicky. And as a general rule, you put the back one on first, get it finagled into place, and you kind of have to rock it. I'm going to move these aside. And then I'm going to turn this at an angle to get it underneath and to lock into place. And you want, there is a little gap here. So this is why you want that facing away from you. And you want the bigger part of the splash pan towards you, because otherwise you are going to get clay water all over yourself. Now I happen to have a removable bat on my wheel, just because I can't actually get these pins out because they are so crusted on the clay. So you can either work on a bat. I don't like them because I find that they actually hurt a little bit. So you will likely want to just work directly on the wheel head. Bats are advantageous if you're making large objects or things that are really flat, like plates, just because it lets you pull the entire thing off rather than cutting it off of the wheel, as you will see in a little bit. And that is your general setup. Always try to make sure you have everything ready to go before you start. And then I've actually got my sort of block of clay ready to go. So normally we have to actually wedge the clay ourselves because we mix in-house. You can actually just cut off pieces of your clay from your bag, and it's already de-aired, so you don't actually have to wedge, at least the first time you use that clay. If you kind of end up with an object you don't like, or it kind of messes up, and you don't end up with an object, there's a hair in my clay, you will have to kind of make a little rainbow with it, set it aside, let it dry a little bit, and then you will need to wedge that before you can reuse it. But I've already got my clay here. And then I'm going to determine the size of objects I'm going to work with, and I'm going to cut off what I'm going to use. So I'm going to start with cylinders. So I can probably actually do 4 cylinders out of this. How I judge that is I'm just going to set that big piece aside for now. And I'm going to cut this in half. I judge this sort of by the size of your hands to start with, just because if you have a piece of clay that's comfortable in your hand, it's going to be a lot easier to work with. Try to work with too little and it's really difficult, and I'm just going to kind of tap this into shape. And then I'm going to pat this into a sort of sphere, because if I just throw this down on the wheel head and try to go from here, it's not going to go well, and it's going to be a struggle bus. So shape the clay as much as you can before tossing it down on the wheel head. And so for me, that fits in my hands really well, so this is a really good amount to work with. It is a little bit on the large size for something like a coffee cup, but some sort of larger cylinder, it would be fine. A bowl, it would be fine.